All right, I sincerely apologize for being a few minutes late on here. I had some issues with starting the camera up. It was my first time doing this format for a while, but we're finally back now. I'm on here using OBS, and it is time to unpack my mock draft from like a kid candy store right now. We've got 1 week remaining from today, and I think almost to the hour Central Time, and we will be calling out the first overall pick of the draft. I have my prediction for who that's going to be, but it is a very exciting time, and not only the world of Brian Gregoire, but the worlds of NFL football. The NFL draft happens every April. There's a lot of things that I enjoy about the NFL, but the NFL draft is up towards the very top. I love free agency. I love the playoffs. But this right here, like this is where it all starts. And so I really embrace that. And without further ado, I'm ready to start this mock draft. So with the first overall pick of the NFL draft, the Tennessee Titans select, shocker, Cam Ward. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. I mean, the Titans have all but confirmed that this is going to be their guy. This is going to be the future of their franchise. They believe in him and his attributes and how he can fit into the organization as a whole. And I think that he'll be fantastic. I think he'll be a great fit. I think that Cam Ward is exactly what the Titans need right now. Why I like the Titans bringing in Cam Ward, especially with his timing right now, is that he's going to challenge Will Levis. I wouldn't say start him immediately, but he is going to challenge Will Levis in a way that he needs to be challenged, where he hasn't been challenged yet. Will Levis is in a spot where he shouldn't be feeling comfortable at all right now. He should feel like he has to earn it. And bringing somebody like Cam Ward in, that is inevitably going to challenge Will Levis. Maybe he rises to the occasion and becomes a starter again this year. But maybe Cam Ward is the guy moving forward. I know that I love what I saw in Cam Ward this year and the way that he guided Miami to winning so many games this year that they should have lost. I mean, you look at some of these games, like that Cal game is one that stands out to me. One that they really should have lost. And he helped them deliver. The Wake Forest game, you can go down the list. There are so many games that Miami could have easily lost, and because of the heroics of Cam Ward, they pulled it off, and I firmly believe that he can bring that same magic to the Titans this year. All right, the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft, the Cleveland Browns select Travis Hunter. He is, at this point, Travis Hunter will be the most talented player, the most gifted player on the board. I mean, him and Abdul Carter are right there. It's really 6-1, half dozen another. But this is arguably your best available if you're the Browns in the situation. And when you have a roster like the Browns are now, when you're in the situation the Browns are in, you've got to take what you can get right here. You've got to take the best guy available because you can really address anything on that roster, and it will make your team better. And so, Travis Hunter, best available. You got him on the board. I take him if you're the Cleveland Browns in this situation, and he will have an immediate impact on that Browns secondary, inevitably. With the number 3 overall pick of the NFL draft, and this is where it gets interesting. I think that the first 2 were fairly obvious, but this is the one right here where it starts getting interesting. Will the Giants, like the video I made the other day, will the Giants go quarterback or will they go with the best available? I think that the Giants think heavily about quarterback, but they end up going with the best available. And in this situation, that is Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State. This guy is punishing. I mean, he had 12 sacks with the Nittany Lions last year, and he's another guy that if you plug him in, he immediately makes an impact on that Giants defense. And just like the Browns, this is a Giants team that is soul searching and is very much looking for their identity. And so you bring in a talented guy like Abdul Carter, and that just naturally brings you closer, if you're the Giants, to finding your identity. And so Abdul Carter to the Giants, number 3 overall. There it is. Number 4 overall, we've got the New England Patriots, and I forecast them to take Will Campbell, the offensive tackle of LSU. My reasoning for this is that it's Drake May's second year. He showed a lot of promise last year. And when you're an organization, you took a risk, you picked a quarterback in the first round, the top 10, and he shows signs of promise, you've got to build around him. You've got to show that guy that you believe in him and that you're investing in him. And there's no better way to do that than bringing in wide receivers and bringing in offensive line help. And that's exactly what the Patriots have the opportunity to do here. And I think that they'll bring in Will Campbell to better protect Drake May. You know, they already brought in Stephon Diggs, and they're only going to enhance the situation around Drake May. With this pick, Will Campbell, I mean, this is who I believe is the best lineman in the draft. Patriots have this 4 spot. Capitalize, take advantage. Mike Vrabel, start this tenure off with a bang. Will Campbell to the Patriots, number 4 overall. Number 5 overall, we have the Jaguars taking Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. I'm watching a lot of film on this guy. And the way that he can navigate through an offensive line is fantastic. And the Jaguars, it's Liam Cohen's first year. I think they got to get a little more physical on defense. I mean, when I was growing up, the Jaguars, they had that identity. Like, they hit you in the mouth on defense, and you saw it with Saxonville a couple years ago as well. You know, when you had Calais Campbell and Barry Church and Jalen Ramsey on defense all at the same time. Jacksonville, we got to get back there. And Liam Cohen, if you want to make an immediate impact on this team and bring the identity back to what it once was before, this is a move that you inevitably have to make. And so I have the Jaguars taking Mason Graham with that number 5 overall pick. Number 6, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders. We've been hearing a lot of commentary from a lot of different people about which way this can go. I've heard quarterback here. I've heard offensive line here. I've heard Ashton Janty here. Raiders GM loves Ashton Janty, so that could very well happen. I myself have the Raiders taking Shedeur Sanders with the number 6 overall pick. I think it makes sense. I think it makes perfect sense. I think the timing is aligned for this. The Raiders, of course, they brought in Geno Smith, but if you look closely, he's got a 2-year contract. And so he's got 2-year contracts. He has time these next 2 years. But I think that it is the perfect opportunity right now to bring in a quarterback and have him sit behind Geno for 2 years. Geno's a smart guy. Geno is a quarterback that has a lot of experience, a plethora of experience, if you will, in the NFL. And you bring in somebody like Shedeur Sanders, who I think has a lot of positive attributes, who I think has a lot of upside, but might not exactly be ready for a starting quarterback role just yet. I think this is a guy that you bring in, you sit him behind Geno Smith for 2 years, you've got kind of a Jordan Love situation, right? And you get him comfortable with the pace of the NFL game, you know, get him training camp reps, get him ready for what he'll be getting into in 2 years. You know, Jordan Love, I thought, was kind of in the same spot. Had a lot of talent, but wasn't exactly in a spot where I felt that he was ready for him to start as an NFL quarterback. But you sat behind Aaron Rodgers for a couple years, and by the time you started him, He was ready. And so I have Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders, number 6 overall. If you're the Raiders, he's kind of all over the place these past couple of years. This is a way for the Raiders to be strategic and put the puzzle pieces together in a slow but intentional way. Number 7 overall, we've got the New York Jets, and they've kind of got a new identity here. Aaron Glenn, head coach. You'd think they might go defensively. I think they can enhance that receiving core, which is why I've got the Jets taking Tetro McMillan from Arizona. This is a very talented receiver. He's a great route runner. He's not a guy who's going to burn you, but he's a very good 50-50 guy. And so he's somebody that I can see winning a lot of battles with defensive backs in this league. And those are battles that the Jets need to win. You need a guy who's going to go up and get it if you're the Jets. Am I wrong? I don't think so. It's Justin Fields' first year there. You want to get him. You want to bring in a guy that he's going to build rapport with pretty quick. And this is a young receiver who's a quick learner. And I think will be very, very, very beneficial for the Jets to have in their room. And so I have Tetro McMillan, the guy who a lot of people consider to be the best wide receiver in this draft. I don't believe he is. I have another opinion about that you'll hear later. But I forecast him to go to the Jets with the number 7 overall pick. At 8, I've got the Carolina Panthers taking Jalen Walker, the edge rusher from Georgia. The Panthers have got to get more physical on defense. I see their secondary improving. I mean, J.C. Horn was a fantastic fit. But I think you got to make this defense a little more physical. I want to see that keep pounding defense, from 2015 come back again. Jalen Walker is a great way if you're the Panthers to kind of get down to business. Get back to what you used to be. And you had Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis there at one point. That's the kind of identity that they want to bring back. And I want to see the Panthers really do that. And Jalen Walker, an edge rusher from Georgia. I mean, this is high pedigree right here. And I think of a lot of your edge rushers out there, this is the guy who has the best possibility of hitting. And so I've got the Panthers taking Jalen Walker with the number 8 overall pick. The Saints hold the number 9 overall pick. And I want to state here that I don't have any surprises here. I don't have any trades. This is just who I see each team taking with the pick that they have. Number 9 overall, I have the Saints taking Armand Membo, offensive tackle. I think the Saints need better offensive tackle help, better protection. I know they have to fix that quarterback situation, but it was a very quick, drastic thing that happens with Derek Carr. I mean, the news that came out about his injury a couple of days ago is insane. And I don't think anybody expected this. But nonetheless, here we are, and the Saints have got to build this thing up. And at the number 9 overall pick, you got a lot of good offensive tackles in this draft. I take Membo if I'm them. There's nobody after Shedeur Sanders that really sticks out to me. And so, for that reason, if I'm the Saints, I go with an offensive tackle here. Worry about quarterback later. You've got to get that position filled, but more importantly, you want to get the right guy in there if you're the Saints. So I've got them taking Membo at number 9 overall. I know some people will disagree with me on that, but that's the direction I have them going in right now. Number 10 overall. This is another very interesting one, but I have the Bears taking Ashton Jancy. This is by far the best running back prospect that we have seen in a very, very, very long time. And when Ben Johnson was coaching the Lions, he had that running back combo, right? The Sonic and Knuckles, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Well, this is a chance for him to bring something like that back again. And you pair Ashton Jancy with DeAndre Swift, that can be terrifying. And so I think that Ben Johnson knows this. I really think that up in Chicago, if you've got Ashton Janty available at 10, if he's not taken already, he could very well be taken already. But if he is available here, and I'm the Bears, which I think there's a strong possibility that happens, I think that it's a no-brainer that you take Ashton Janty with the number 10 overall pick, and it's something that immediately can enhance that Bears offense. Number 11, we've got the 49ers, and it feels very weird to say this about the Niners because they had been known for it for so long. But I look at them right now, and they don't really have an identity on the offensive. They don't really have an identity on the defensive side of the ball right now. And it's strange to say, but especially defensive line, that may be their weakest link right now. It feels so bizarre to say that, but it's got to be addressed. And for that reason, I have the Niners taking Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle from Oregon. This is a big dude. He's huge, and he moves fast. He's very shifty, and when you have a guy that big, that's that shifty, and get that kind of pressure, it's a no-brainer to draft him in the Niners situation. Defensive line is their biggest concern right now. I never thought I'd be saying those words, but nonetheless, here we are. And the Niners, they have to address it. They also have to get pressure again. The past couple years, that defensive line has been very uninspiring. And so they got to address it. And you think back a couple years ago, the Niners took a defensive tackle out of Oregon too, DeForest Buckner. He translated very well. And so I can see the Niners taking this pick. Derek Harmon, number 11 overall. I can see this thing happen. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments section. Now I've got the Dallas Cowboys, my employer here. The number 12 overall pick. I have the Cowboys selecting Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. I think that there's a lot of directions that the Cowboys can go in here. I can see him going receiver. I can see him going running back as well. But for their situation in particular right now, I feel like Tyler Booker is your best bet. And this is a very good high-character guy with a lot of leadership. And I think that the Cowboys kind of need that guidance on offense right now. Of course, Dak Prescott is a fantastic leader. But they need a younger guy in the building who has that kind of leadership. And I think that if you're the Cowboys, you bring in Tyler Booker, you get that immediately. You know, especially on that offensive line. They need a little more guidance right now. And so, Tyler Booker, high character guy. The Cowboys could use a guard. I've got Dallas, Big D, selecting Tyler Booker from Alabama. Roll Tide. Love to see a Bama guy going in the first rounds. Number 12 overall. Number 13, my man Zeke Wager. If you're watching here, here's your pick, pal. The Miami Dolphins select Will Johnson, the number 13 pick overall. I don't know if this is the pick that Zeke wanted, and so he gets it here. Will Johnson is a very quick cornerback. He's not fast, but he's quick, and he's very good at picking up routes. There's a potential that he's a feast or famine guy, but he's very talented. The guy's like a Swiss Army knife, and so I could see Will Johnson being a guy that you plug and chug immediately. This guy is going to have an immediate impact on this Dolphins defense, and the Dolphins, the timing is perfect for them right now as they need secondary help. It's pretty much a given at this point that Jalen Ramsey's going to be out the building. The Dolphins are starting the process of rebuilding. When you're rebuilding, you got to get young, quality guys in the building. And Will Johnson is that. He's an interception machine, but he's also great at stuffing the run, completing tackles. He's a very complete player. I've got the Dolphins taking Will Johnson with the number 13 overall pick. Number 14, with the Indianapolis Colts, they've made it very clear in headlines that they want to go with a tight ends. And so, why not go with the best tight end available? I know there's been a lot of people saying that that's Colston Loveland. I can see that argument, but all year long, I've said that Tyler Warren is the best tight end available, and he is. This guy is generational. He's a fantastic blocker, but he's also a great route runner. Very productive. I mean, you're starting to see more and more of these just absolute freak tight ends out there, and Tyler Warren is one. I mean, just go back and watch the film of that USC game back in October. That was unbelievable. I've seen very few tight ends in college put on performances like that, but he literally put Penn State on his back and carried them to that win, and that win was season defining for the Nittany Lions this year too. You know, as if they lost that game, do they still get in the playoff? You know, there's no telling. That was a crucial win for the Nittany Lions, and Tyler Warren put them on their back for that, and I can very well see him doing the same thing for the Colts if he's drafted by them. I don't know where we're finding these tight ends, but it's unbelievable. These guys are phenoms, and if you're the Colts, you got to take advantage. 14 overall, we've got the Colts going with Tyler Warren. All right. Number 15, we got the Falcons. I've got the Falcons taking Mike Green, the edge rusher. I can also see them taking offensive line help. Offensive line is something that the Falcons have just struggled to get right through a lot of their existence as a franchise. I can see them going with offensive line here. This draft is deep for them. Maybe they can get one in the second round. But Mike Green, this guy is fast. He's great at stuffing the run. He's great at getting to your quarterback. He's an absolute nightmare. His technique as an edge rusher is unreal. His speed is unreal. And so, you know, especially after losing Grady Jarrett, I can see the Falcons going with Mike Green here. And again, kind of like the Panthers, they've got to get more physical on the defensive side of the ball. And so, for that reason, I have the Falcons taking Mike Green with the number 15 overall pick. With the 16th overall pick of the NFL draft, I've got the Arizona Cardinals taking Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I know that he spent much of last year injured. Trust me, I'm definitely taking that into consideration. So, yes, it's a risk. But when you have a guy like him who's that talented, you've got to take him. I know it's a risk, but I think that this is a risk that definitely pays off for the Cardinals. They need somebody who's going to protect Kyler, or whoever the quarterback of the future is going to be. I don't know how long it will be Kyler for, but whoever your quarterback is for the Cardinals moving forward, you've got to protect him. And Josh Simmons is a great way to do that. When he's in, he is incredibly effective. And so, for that reason, I have the Cardinals taking Josh Simmons with the number 16 overall pick. Number 17, Cincinnati Bengals. I think this one is fairly obvious. Anybody? Any guesses? Any guesses where I could possibly go with this? Yeah. They need secondary help big time. As we saw last year. I mean, the points, the yards that the Bengals were absolutely bleeding last year. They need help on the defensive side of the ball. They need help in their secondary bad. And so I've got them taking Nick Amanwari, the South Carolina Gamecock himself. He is a fantastic safety. I mean, the way that he plays the ball, the way that he reads your quarterback, reads receivers, he's brilliant. A high IQ football player the Bengals are getting in Nick Amanwari. And if you're them, you know the need that you have. You know, when you have Joe Burrow putting on an MVP caliber season, and he arguably would have gotten my vote last year with how good that Joe Burrow played last year. But he was one of those guys where, just didn't get recognized as much for it because of the amount of points that the Bengals were allowing. They just weren't winning games. And if you're a Bengal fan, it was so frustrating to watch last year. And if you're watching this, you're screaming at the television next Thursday night. Take a safety, take a cornerback. For the love of God, take one. We need it. And so, Bengals fans, I know it can be tough sometimes, but I have a lot of confidence that y'all are going to make the right decision, and you're going to take somebody in the secondary here. I've got the Bengals taking Nick Emery, the safety from South Carolina, with the number 17 pick overall. The number 18 overall pick, I have the Seahawks taking Josh Connolly Jr., the offensive tackle out of out of Oregon. You get a lot of those Pacific Northwest guys going to Seattle. They love taking guys from that region. And so I see them going to the Ducks. So there's always been kind of ties between Seattle and Oregon. There's always been kind of a commonality. I think there's a lot of similarities in their culture. It translates over easily. So I can see Seattle looking to the Ducks program again. Oregon has been, I guess, as I've explained on this channel, Oregon has been fantastic at developing talent and developing guys who just do it the right way, who are culturally a fit, disciplined, hardworking, all the above. You want that, you get an Oregon Duck. What has been able to been built culture-wise there over the past several years, it's been nothing short of amazing. And so I think that Seattle looks no further but to the Oregon football program for their next guy, and they very much do need offensive line help. Now, especially going into this new Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, JSN era. I see the Seahawks going with Josh Connolly, the Oregon Duck, with the 18 overall pick in the NFL draft. Number 19, this is one that could surprise a lot of people here. Because I think a lot of people are expecting the Bucs to go wide receiver here. Well, I'm going to zig when everybody else is zagging. And I look at the Bucs and I say they got defensive-minded head coach in Todd Bowles. And for that reason, they're going to go with my man out of Alabama, Jahad Campbell. This guy's a freak. He hits like a freight train. He's one of those guys that he takes his shit seriously, and he's kind of angry, especially when he gets on the fields. And that's the kind of guy you want on the defensive side of the ball. That's the kind of guy that a Todd Bowles wants on his team, who masters fundamentals, who loves to hit people, who has a passion for hitting people. I watched him do it on the practice field a lot. I had the pleasure of working with Jahad Campbell when I was at Alabama, and the guy's a freak athlete, but he's an even harder worker. And so I think that he's somebody that if you're the Buccaneers, you draft him and you automatically see him getting to opposing teams' quarterbacks. The Buccaneers, in past years and now, they've always very much valued being stingy and being disruptive on the defensive side of the ball. And Jahad Campbell, he's a guy that matches that. He matches that freak. When you look and see some of his key plays at Alabama, interceptions, strip sacks, fumbles. He won Alabama our game against Tennessee back in 2023. As a fan, I'll never forget that. That was electric. That scoop and score touchdown. That won us the game. But Bryant Denny Stadium was electric, and that's just the kind of juice that Todd Bowles and this Bucs defense wants to see. And so I've got Jahad Campbell from Alabama, Roll Tide, going to the Buccaneers, the number 19 overall pick. Number 20, got the Denver Broncos. And I know that they want either running back, tight ends, wide receiver, something on the offensive side of the ball. And so for that reason, I have the Broncos taking Colston Loveland from Michigan, who I think is the second best tight ends in the draft. But I can see why a lot of people would go with Tyler Warren with Colston. No, forgive me here, my tongue got tied. I can see why a lot of people would go with Colston Loveland as the second best tight ends in this draft. But I personally, I go with Tyler Warren. I think that the guy is an absolute dog. But Colston Loveland's, I mean, the guy runs whip routes as a tight end. How often do you see that? He's unbelievable. And so the Broncos are looking for somebody who's just naturally going to help that offense flow better. I mean, we all had the same takeaway when we watched that playoff game against the Bills. They need a little more juice overall. They need a little more of a defined system on offense overall. And so Colston Loveland's or Omarion Hampton, they're both guys that if Denver drafts them, you can see them immediately, automatically having an impact. But I think right now Colston Loveland's their best decision. And speak of the devil himself, number 21 overall, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Omarion Hampton. And this is scary being paired with Jaylen Warren. I don't think any of us know who Pittsburgh's quarterback is going to be. It could very well be Aaron Rodgers. As he likes to say, it's a beautiful mystery. That's all I'm going to cover about that situation here because I know that Aaron Rodgers wants to drag it on. And he wants to get people, like me and others in the media to talk about it. But nonetheless, I'm not going to because he wants attention. I'm not going to give it to him. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. I promise. But regardless of who the quarterback is, Omarion Hampton, this guy is a dog. He's a freak. What he did at North Carolina last year was absolutely unbelievable. And the Steelers have always been a ground and pound type football team. They love their running backs. They want to be physical. That's what they've always been with Mike Tomlin and Bill Cowher, and I think they're going to continue to be that. And let's face it, when you have a two-headed running back monster, if you're anybody, that's scary. And I can see the Steelers capitalizing on this, and if they do, getting a guy like Omarion Hampton to get that tandem in there with Jaylen Warren is scary. And especially in AFC North, where it's physical, it's cutthroat, it is hard-hitting, ground and pounds in the wintertime. You're going to need a tandem like that. And so, for that reason, I have the Steelers going with Omarion Hampton with the number 21 overall pick. All right. We've got the best receiver in the NFL draft going here. And it's not who a lot of y'all are going to think it is. But let me take a swig of water here and I'll reveal it to you. The number 22 overall pick in the NFL draft, I have the Los Angeles Chargers, they're still San Diego to me, selecting Matthew Golden from Texas. Yep, I said it. I dare to say it. He is the best wide receiver in this draft. His route running abilities, his football IQ, his ability to get open and get crafty with his routes. And he's got speed. He's got speed, football IQ, route running. This guy is the whole complete package. And so I've got the Chargers taking Matthew Golden, number 22 overall. And you pair him with Ladd McConkey. Damn, is that scary. I fear for anybody who's going to be going up against that. And so, number 22 overall, I've got the Chargers taking Matthew Golden. Okay. Number 23 overall. The Green Bay Packers, I've got them taking Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of Texas. We got another Texas guy off the board, and that's going to be a theme here for a few minutes. I'm just going to tease that up. That's going to be a theme. Got a lot of Texas guys going in the first round. This is a very talented team. I'm very surprised they didn't win the national championship last year with how stacked they were, but that Ohio State-Texas game was really your natty. Let's not go too far into college here. It's for another night. But I've got the Packers taking Jahdae Barron, especially with the uncertainty surrounding the Jair Alexander situation in Green Bay right now. They're in a situation kind of like Miami is with secondary, with cornerback. You just got to take a guy who's available. And at 23, Jahdae Barron is going to be sitting there. And he's a very talented guy. I got the Packers taking him, number 23 overall. Number 24, I have the Packers' arch rival here. I got the Minnesota Vikings addressing their secondary as well with Maxwell Hairston, the cornerback from Kentucky. Kentucky is a team that had what I would say is a season to forget last year. I mean, it was very tough for them. Just watch them overall, some of the drama that they faced. But, with some of these teams, there's a diamond in the rough. And for Kentucky, that diamond in the rough was Maxwell Hairston. And this guy is great. He's great at sniffing out routes. And the Vikings are a team, their defense was strong last year. Up front, they were amazing. But secondary could be addressed a little. So I've got the Vikings taking Maxwell Hairston with that number 24 overall pick. Number 25 overall, I have the Houston Texans taking Kelvin Banks Jr. For the love of God. C.J. Stroud needs protection. I can't tell you how much I heard that absolute just bullshit narrative last year of, C.J. Stroud regressing, having a sophomore slump, my ass. He didn't have any space. He didn't have any time to throw the ball. And so, he was, the guy was scrambling. He was a pancake half the year. Not to mention that his receiving core got beat up. I'm going to address that later. But for now, if you're the Texans, number 25 overall, you take Kelvin Banks from Texas. Another Texas guy off the board. And this guy is huge. He has a great technique as an offensive tackle. And so, if you're the Texans, you need somebody that you can just plug in automatically this year. And that guy for them can very well be the very talented Kelvin Banks. Number 26 overall, we have the Detroit Lions taking... Oh, my apologies. My graphics got messed up here. Hold on. Forgive me here. My graphics got a little messed up. Okay. It's going to be the Rams. Let me just find their thing here. I haven't used OBS in quite a minute, so got to get it on. My apologies for the technical difficulties here. We got Rams and then Ravens. It got a little mixed up. Okay. With the number 26 overall pick, I have the LA Rams taking Siobhan Revel. I apologize for that delay there. The cornerback from East Carolina. This is a very buttoned-up team. The Rams, to me, outside of Philadelphia, this is my NFC favorite next year. I mean, offensively and defensively, their receiving core is fantastic. You have one of the best veteran quarterbacks in the NFL in Matt Stafford. You have one of the best coaches in the NFL in Sean McVay. And you have a fantastic young defensive line. But if you're the Rams, one position that you can very much address is cornerback. And Siobhan Revel from East Carolina, it's a great way to do that. He's a diamond in the rough coming with Quinyon Mitchell last year. But scouts, they found him. And this guy is going to be a huge asset for any team that drafts him. I think that team will be the LA Rams with the number 26 overall pick. Number 27 overall, I have the Baltimore Ravens taking Michael Williams, the edge rusher from Georgia, a dog. The Ravens, it's kind of like the Niners, not on as severe of a scale, but it's kind of like the Niners, where they were known for years for what they brought on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to edge rushing, when it comes to pressure. But they kind of fell off with that, and I think they've got to get back down to business. A lot of the Ravens fans that I've been talking to, they want to get more physical on the defensive side of the ball, and Michael Williams is a great way to do that. I mean, a lot of Georgia guys last year, you didn't see their very best out of them per se, but Michael Williams, if you watch him close enough, I mean, this is a very talented guy, and the Ravens want to get more stingy. They want to get more physical. I want to see Lamar Jackson and that offense get complimented in that way a lot more. And so, for that reason, I see the Ravens taking Michael Williams with that number 27 overall pick. All right, now 28. I've got the Detroit Lions taking Gray Zabel. Pretend you didn't see that a few minutes ago. The offensive tackle from North Dakota State. The Bison, they be developing guys up there in Fargo. And I'm going to make a video about this at some point. I think they should go FBS. I don't know what they're waiting for. I'll go into depth about that in a few weeks. This is another fantastic North Dakota State product that we've seen come out these past several years. And I think that you're going to see the Lions capitalize on this. They need to beef up a little bit. If this is a very deep team. But if they're to address anything, I really do think that it's going to be their offensive line. Like when you get into this part of the draft, it's kind of 6-1, half dozen other. I mean, a lot of these teams are very, very, very buttoned up. The Lions are very deep on all sides of the ball. I think that their biggest loss right now, of course, is coordinators. Not having Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson in the building anymore. That's probably their biggest glaring need right now. Of course, you can't address that in a draft. You can only address players. And so, if you're the Lions here, if you can go with anything, you're going to go with offensive line. And so, with the number 28 overall pick in the draft, I see the Detroit Lions going with Gray Zabel, who I think is the best offensive tackle left at that time. Number 29, I see the Commanders, still the Redskins to me, building off of the momentum that they've built, and I see them going with Walter Nolan on the defensive line. Of course, you saw Jonathan Allen depart from Minnesota a few weeks ago, so you're going to have an absence on that defensive line. You're going to need a new tackle in there, and so I see them going with Walter Nolan. He had a fantastic year with the Rebels last year, and when he transferred to Ole Miss, I looked at that and I was like, damn, this guy is going to absolutely ball. And he did last year. I think that he solidified himself as a first-round pick, and I see the Commanders taking him for that reason, as they need help in that position. They need to fill that gap that was left by Jonathan Allen. And so, number 29 overall, I see Washington going with Walter Nolan. Number 30 overall, Zeke Wager. If you're watching, I know that this one's really going to piss you off, but I see the Bills going with Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver from Ohio State. They need somebody else up there in Buffalo. I mean, once again, wide receiving core let Josh Allen down. Dalton Kincaid with that drop pass. Of course, Emeka Egbuka can't do anything about that, but what he can do is enhance the run. And we saw some good things out of Keon Coleman later in the year last year, but Josh Allen loves throwing to Khalil Shakir, loves throwing to Dawson Knox, loves throwing to Dalton Kincaid, and you get another guy out there for Josh Allen. Maybe this could be what gets Buffalo over the hump. At this point, it's any little thing that the Bills can get. And so, enhancing that receiving core, I see the Bills taking Emeka Buka, who's an absolute route god, at number 30 overall. Number 31, we've got the defending AFC champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. They love drafting from Missouri. I think they do it again with Luther Burden III. His draft stock has gone down a little bit. There were high expectations of him. A lot of people expect him to be the best wide receiver in college football last year. I don't think he quite delivered to that expectation, but he still had a great year last year nonetheless, and I think he has a high ceiling and the potential to have a great career in the NFL. And I think if you pair him with Patrick Mahomes, that'll be all but a guarantee. And so, number 31 overall, I've got the Chiefs taking another Missouri guy and Luther Burden III. And last but not least, we've got the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, who everybody's panicking about because they lost so many guys. I'm not panicking about them, though, honestly. I think they'll be just fine. I got them taking James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher from Tennessee. I've heard, murmurs here and there about people being, questioning his character, this and that. I don't really give a shit. I want somebody to be kind of a dick if you're on the defensive line, if you're an edge rusher. Micah Parsons, not a lot of people like him personally, but he's an angry dude, and he produces on the defensive line. And I think you're going to get a similar story from James Pierce. I want somebody who's a little angry. He's got a little edge to him. No pun intended there from the edge rusher, James Pierce. I think the Eagles take him. I think that he fits that culture, and he's going to generate a lot of pressure. The Eagles, they're going to need that back, especially after losing guys like Milton Williams. I see Philly taking James Pierce Jr. with the number 32 overall pick in the NFL draft this year. All right, folks. There it is. There's all 32 picks in that order. I know some are surprising. I know some were kind of predictable. But please let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. We've got a lot coming up in this next week with the NFL drafts. I'm very excited for it. And I can't wait to see what these picks are actually going to be and how close my picks were to matching it. We've got exciting stuff coming up for the era here as well. And so I'll keep y'all posted for that. But happy draft season, everyone. We are just 1 week away from the madness. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Have a great day.